we want to eventually have a routing node, but we want to kind of like learn a little bit first. The first thing that you're going to want to do is decide how much capital you want to allocate to your node at the beginning. You want to say, hey, I want to open up 10 million sats worth of channels or 20 million sats worth of channels. You want to have these numbers in your head. You don't want to just like open up willy-nilly, because that will help you decide what size channels to open with once you get going. So for example, if I want to put a whole Bitcoin into bootstrapping a new routing node, I would probably say, okay, I probably want 15 to 20 channels of like 5 to 7 million sats each, and just have a nice little divisibility on that. The hardest part about bootstrapping a node, though, meaning, getting started, is you need inbound liquidity for other people's payments to flow through you, which is for some the hardest to get. Some people have it easier because some people might have a footprint on social media or something, and they could say, hey, I just started a new node, open up channels with me, and the whole community will jump in and give them tons of inbound. But for the normal sort of person that just wants to like get going, and not only that, but like the sovereign person that wants to not even tell anybody about it, now it's pretty challenging, because unless you start a new NIM or something and go into the Telegram groups and say, hey, I'm starting a routing node, so I'm gonna open up a channel with me, yada yada yada. That's a hard sell, because routing nodes want to open up channels with folks that will sort of reciprocate or add value to their own node as well, because your routing node is only as good as the peers you're connected to at the end of the day. So there has to be some sort of incentive there. So that incentive can come from something like Lightning Pool or liquidity ads for Core Lightning, where you're opening up a channel with somebody, but they're paying you to do so, basically. Now, that might not be for everybody, but that is an option. One of the quickest ways I've found to sort of bootstrap that initial inbound liquidity is using atomic swap services like Loop or Bolts. What that is you essentially open up a channel, and then you go to the service and you say, hey, so for example, if I open up a 5 million sat channel, I could say, hey, I want to move 4 million sats out of that 5 million sat channel to the other side. And what I'm essentially doing is I'm paying somebody those sats, and that they're saying, okay, pay me those 4 million sats and I will send you those 4 million back on chain. Now you have 4 million of inbound. And of course, they take a little bit of a fee for that service, but now you've bootstrapped a good amount of inbound for your node. And that's probably the hardest thing to do. One of the easiest ways to get inbound, though, is to just spend sats, really, because if you're spending it, you're moving it over. So if you want to spend sats on a bunch of gift cards or something, you can do that as well. Any questions so far?
Yeah, no, that all makes a lot of sense. So in terms of who you pick, though, for channel opening, how does a new person do that?
Yeah, so if I'm looking for quality peers, so you're basically playing a game with incomplete information. It's a lot like poker. But thankfully, a lot of information about public-facing nodes and channels are sort of put together in very easy to read public databases such as amboss.space. 1ML used to be the leader in that, but 1ML, I don't even know who runs 1ML actually, but they haven't really updated it or done anything in a long time. So Tony, who built ThunderHub, and Justifer, who's a really good friend of mine, also are building this amboss.space platform where you can go and you can see, basically look at a node, you can see what their channels are, see what their capacities are, and see what their fee rates are like, and that sort of thing. So there's multiple factors. My biggest factor, though, is how many channels does the node I'm opening up with have, and what is their average channel size? If I'm looking to open up a 5 million sat channel, I don't want to open up a 5 million sat channel with a node that has 500,000 sat average size, right? Even with really cool things like multipath payments, that's still sort of a bottleneck because not everybody uses AMP and multipath payments right now. So that is, I want that average channel size to be near the size that I want to open. And generally, if they have at least 20 channels, that's good. The age of the node also needs to sort of be taken into account. And you can go to terminal.lightning.engineering and see if which is a Lightning Lab sort of ranking database using their own arbitrary metrics. But it gives you a good idea if they're online or offline a lot, because they'll have this pretty green color next to their node name. So I would use lightning.terminal.engineering in conjunction with amboss.space to sort of vet nodes that I'm looking to open up with. A lot of people think that they just want to open up nodes or channels to the biggest nodes on the network and they're going to be all set. But for a routing node, that's not quite the best idea. It's okay to have a few channels like that, but the issue is if you're just connecting to big routing nodes on the network, or just big nodes in general on the network, you're essentially competing with all the other channels that are with them. So the ultimate goal of a routing node is to find paths from medium to smaller nodes that are making payments to go to services and where you think that traffic is flowing to. So maybe you want to open up a channel with bit refill, and then you want to go and maybe open up some channels to like some smaller nodes also and have a variety of connections. And yeah, we could go deep into theory on that, but that's
I think that's a good high level idea.
That which is a heck of a rabbit hole itself, but yeah.
Back to the show in a moment. Have you thought about upgrading to multi-signature with Unchained Capital? Unchained have collaborative custody, so they can make it easy for you to hold 2 keys and for them to hold the 3rd key, giving you some additional peace of mind, and it might help you sleep at night knowing that one error won't make you lose all your coins. And so in Bitcoin security, we want to try to remove our single points of failure, and you can do this with 2 hardware wallets. So with Unchained Capital, they've got a concierge onboarding program where you can pay up front. They'll ship you 2 hardware wallets. They'll do a call with you and deposit some Bitcoin in your vault, and there's some ongoing support also. So you can do this even if you've never held your own private keys before. So this is a great way to improve your security, take away those single points of failure. Go to unchained.com and use the code Livera on the concierge onboarding program for a discount. So with Bitcoin security, you've got to go and check out coinkite.com. Not only do they offer the Cold Card, which is my favorite Bitcoin hardware wallet, they offer a range of products that you will love. They've got the block clock, they've got metal backup seed products like the seed plate. So if you have written down your 24 seed words on a piece of paper, well, think about upgrading to a metal stamping solution. So that way you don't lose your coins if natural disasters or accidents happen, such as a fire or other natural disasters. So make sure you are looking out for your Bitcoin security and your backups. Go to coinkite.com and use the code Livera for a discount there. Brains are a Bitcoin mining company through and through, and they've got Brains OS Plus. This is firmware that you can install on your ASIC machine to give you more hash rate for your electricity bill. They help you auto-tune your miners to help you get the maximum performance and efficiency. So go to brains.com, that's brains with 2 eyes, and you can see which models are supported there. Also on that website, you can see a range of content. I really enjoy reading their blog posts, and they've also got an analytics dashboard which shows all kinds of statistics about Bitcoin mining, profitability calculations, and all sorts of useful information for anyone interested in Bitcoin mining. That website is brains.com. Back to the show with Nate. Yeah, for sure. But I think just to give people a flavor and just to summarize, and I think that's right, the general idea is that you want to open channels in the direction that you believe the flow is going to go, right? So let's say you believe, if you knew there's a new hot merchant in town, and you believe everyone's going to be paying them because let's say they've got some really cool Bitcoin merchandise or some other thing they're selling for Bitcoin, you as a smart routing node operator are thinking, yeah, all right, sweet. I know a lot of people want to pay this guy, so let me try and get a channel open to him, because then as they want to pay to him, they're going to route it through me. And so then I'm going to collect some routing fees. And so I guess that's kind of like a high level, or at least one way of thinking about that part of it. But then, like you said, you still want to have other people who want to pay you through that. So you still have to think about that aspect of it.
That's a great example, because I think that as a routing node operator, being constantly aware of new merchants and services that are just starting, you're really incentivized actually to give them inbound liquidity, which means open up a channel with them, because you know that the flow is, especially if they're a high level merchant or whatever, like Great American Mining, for example, just enabled Bitcoin Lightning on their store. So I'm thinking, okay, if I'm one of the first people to open up a channel with them, I can set my fee rate higher because there's less competition right now. But as more competition, meaning more people open up channels to them, that might drive the fee rate of forwarding payment to them down. That happened with the Loop node, because the Loop node at Lightning Labs is constantly doing these atomic swaps or submarine swaps for folks, meaning that and which can sometimes be really big and really high in demand. But a lot of people started realizing that and opening up channels with the Loop node, and then drove that fee rate pretty much into the ground. So I think that is a really cool sort of incentive for merchants, because if you get going, I think you'll see channels just open up to you naturally as part of the ecosystem.
Excellent. And so how should people think about fee rates and setting the fees? So I guess the quick overview for people is generally in Lightning, there's